It was Christmas Eve in the small town of Ashwood. Snow covered the streets like a soft white blanket, and the warm lights of houses flickered against the cold night. Families were busy preparing for the holiday, laughing and singing carols. But inside one old, lonely house at the edge of town, something dark was waiting. Emily, a young woman in her 20s, lived alone in that house. Her parents had died years ago, and her friends had gone home for the holidays. She didn't mind being alone, or at least she thought she didn't. That night, she was sitting by the fireplace, sipping hot chocolate and listening to Christmas songs. The house was silent except for the crackling of the fire. Suddenly, she heard a faint knock at the door. Emily frowned. Nobody ever knocked on her door. She checked the clock. It was nearly midnight. Who could be visiting now, she whispered to herself. Hesitantly, she walked to the door and peeked through the peephole. No one was there. Just the empty snow-covered yard, the cold wind blowing through the trees. Shaking her head, she returned to the living room, telling herself it was probably just the wind. But then she heard it again. A soft knock, this time louder and slower. She froze. Her heart started beating faster. She tried to ignore it, hoping it would go away. But curiosity got the better of her. Emily slowly opened the door. Nothing. Just the snow. And then she noticed it, a small red scarf lying on her doorstep. It wasn't hers. She picked it up, feeling a strange chill crawl down her spine. Emily had never seen this scarf before. As she turned to throw it inside, a shadow moved in the corner of her eye. She spun around, but there was nothing. The room was empty. Her fire flickered, making the shadows dance on the walls. She felt a cold draft, even though all the windows were closed. Suddenly, the lights in the room went out. Emily gasped, fumbling for her phone to use as a flashlight. The room was pitch black, except for the dim glow from the fireplace. Then she heard it, a whisper. Emily. Her name. In a voice so soft, yet icy cold, it seemed to come from every corner of the room. She dropped her phone. The sound echoed around her. She couldn't see anyone. She wanted to run, but her legs felt frozen, like they belonged to someone else. The whisper came again, closer this time. Emily, come to me. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Her heart raced like a drum. Something was in the room with her. Something not human. The shadows on the walls stretched and twisted, forming shapes she couldn't understand. Then she saw it. A figure. Pale, thin, and almost transparent, hovering near the fireplace. Its face was hidden under a dark hood, but its presence was terrifying. Emily stumbled backward, tripping over a chair. The figure drifted closer, moving silently across the floor. Her mind screamed at her to escape, but her body wouldn't move. She remembered the scarf. Slowly, trembling, she reached for it. The moment she touched it, the figure vanished. The lights flickered back on. Emily's breathing was heavy. She was alone again. Shaking, she wrapped the scarf around her neck. It felt warm suddenly, almost comforting. But then she noticed something strange. The scarf smelled faintly of snow, and blood. Her stomach turned. She dropped it immediately. Then she heard the knock again. This time, it was from the window. Emily turned slowly. There, outside, she saw a face pressed against the glass. Pale, hollow eyes staring directly at her. The mouth opened, but no sound came out. Just a frozen, horrible grin. She stumbled backward, tripping over the chair again. Her phone slipped from her hand. The figure outside the window was gone, but the feeling of being watched remained. Her living room felt smaller, suffocating. The fire burned lower, casting strange shadows across the room. Emily knew she couldn't stay. She grabbed her coat, keys, and phone, and ran out of the house into the snowy night. Her breath came out in white clouds. She didn't look back until she reached the street, and even then, the house looked normal. Nothing out of place. But she knew. She could feel it. Someone, or something, had entered her home that night. And it would return. The next morning, the neighbors found her scarf lying in the snow near the front steps. But Emily was never seen in that house again. Some say she moved away immediately. Others claim they saw her wandering in the woods nearby, talking to herself, staring at the trees as if she could see something no one else could. The house still stands, covered in snow every Christmas Eve. And every year, on the silent night, people hear soft knocks on the door, and whispers of a name that seems to come from nowhere. The silent night visitor is a warning for anyone who thinks they can be alone on Christmas Eve. Because some visitors don't come to celebrate. It had been a year since Emily disappeared from Ashwood, but the story of the silent night visitor had not faded. Locals still whispered about the lonely house at the edge of town. They said every Christmas Eve, strange knocks and eerie whispers echoed from its walls. Most people avoided it, but curiosity has a way of luring the brave, or the foolish. James, a young man new to Ashwood, had heard the stories. He didn't believe in ghosts or spirits, but something about the old house fascinated him. On Christmas Eve, he decided to see it for himself. He walked through the snow-covered streets, the cold biting his cheeks, until the lonely house appeared ahead. Its windows were dark, except for one on the second floor. A single candle flickered there, swaying as if someone had just lit it. James felt a shiver run down his spine. He shook his head. "It's probably just someone celebrating Christmas alone," he muttered. But deep down, he knew the stories weren't just stories. He stepped closer, trying to see inside. The door was closed, but he noticed the faint smell of smoke and something else, something metallic, like blood. He frowned, stepping back. Then he heard it, a soft whisper carried by the wind. "James." His heart froze. He didn't know anyone here, yet the voice called his name. The candle flickered violently, and for a brief moment, he saw a shadow in the window, pale, thin, and hovering. It disappeared before he could react. Curiosity and fear battled inside him, but curiosity won. He pushed the door open. The house smelled of damp wood and something rotten. The floorboards creaked under his weight. The candle on the second floor flickered again, and James climbed the stairs slowly, every step echoing in the silent house. At the top, he saw the room. A small, empty room, except for the candle burning on the windowsill. The wind from the cracked window made the flame dance, casting long shadows across the walls. And then he saw it, the scarf. The same red scarf Emily had found the year before, lying neatly on the floor as if waiting for him. James bent to pick it up. The moment his fingers touched the fabric, a chill ran through his body. The candle flame exploded, sending sparks across the room. The temperature dropped sharply. His breath formed clouds in front of him. Then, from the corner of the room, he saw it, the figure. Pale, hooded, and silent. It didn't move at first. It just stared. James wanted to run, but his legs refused to obey. The figure raised a thin, ghostly hand and pointed at him. Then, it whispered. "Leave, or stay forever." James stumbled back, tripping over the scarf. He crawled toward the door, desperate to escape. The hallway seemed longer than before. Suddenly, the candle on the windowsill flew across the room, hitting the wall and shattering into pieces. Shadows swirled around him like smoke, forming shapes of people screaming silently. James screamed too, but his voice was drowned out by the sound of cracking floorboards and whispering voices. He ran down the stairs, desperate for the exit. The front door was just ahead. As he reached it, a cold hand gripped his shoulder. He spun around. No one was there. Just the empty hallway. He looked down and saw footprints in the snow outside, though no one had passed through the yard. James threw the door open and ran into the night. Snow blinded him, and the cold stung his skin, but he didn't stop. He looked back once. In the window, the candle burned again, and in its light, the pale hooded figure watched him, grinning silently. He didn't speak, didn't move. It was waiting. Waiting for someone else to enter, someone else foolish enough to open the door. The next morning, the townspeople found James wandering near the woods, muttering about shadows, whispers, and the scarf. He never returned to the house. But the story spread further that year, about the house that took Emily, the candle in the window, and the whispers that called your name if you dared to enter. Some say the house is alive. Others say the spirit that haunts it is hungry, looking for someone alone, someone curious, someone who thinks it's just a story. And every Christmas Eve, the candle in the window burns once again, flickering in the cold night, calling to anyone who dares look too closely. Those who pass by say they hear faint whispers. Some even swear they saw shadows moving inside, long after midnight. And the scarf always returns, waiting for the next visitor, soaked in the chill of the silent night visitor's wrath. The lesson of Ashwood's old house is clear: curiosity can be deadly, especially on a silent, snowy Christmas night. Because some visitors never leave. Hooded, like the ones from the Emily and James stories, standing behind them. Mia screamed. The figures didn't move, just stared. And then the bell began to ring violently, as if struck by invisible hands. The shadows in the room stretched and lunged toward the teenagers. Dust swirled around, making it hard to breathe. Lucas tried to run, but the floor seemed alive. Boards groaned under his weight, moving like waves. He stumbled into the hallway. Mia grabbed his arm, but her fingers brushed something cold, something that wasn't flesh. A hand, thin and pale, grabbed her shoulder. She turned to see nothing but empty air. Oliver, terrified, ran toward the window. The candle flame jumped high, then went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Then, whispers filled their ears, calling their names, laughing softly but cruelly. Leave, or stay forever. The voice was everywhere, yet nowhere. Panic set in. They ran, hoping the door at the bottom of the stairs would save them. But the staircase seemed endless, stretching down into blackness. Every step forward brought them no closer. The walls closed in, whispers laughing at their fear. Suddenly, they were in a large room they had never seen before. The room was circular, with walls covered in hundreds of old photographs, all showing people in the same house, on Christmas Eve. Faces pale, eyes wide with terror, scarves of red on the floor. Some pictures moved, showing moments frozen in horror. Mia recognized one, Emily, standing in the same room, her face twisted in fear. The bell rang again, deafeningly now. The hooded figures appeared, surrounding them. Shadows reached out from the walls, trying to pull them in. The teenagers screamed, clutching each other, but it was too late. One by one, the figures reached for them. The cold was unbearable, their fingers stiffened, their vision blurred. Then, a soft sound cut through the chaos, a child singing. The song was faint, sweet, and pure. The figures paused. The shadows shrank. The photographs fell to the floor. And in the corner, the candle flickered back to life. Mia noticed the scarf again, lying neatly near the window. With trembling hands, she grabbed it. The moment she touched it, the hooded figures vanished, leaving the room empty. The staircase returned to normal. The whispers stopped. The cold lifted. Shaking, the teenagers ran out of the house into the snowy night. They didn't stop until they reached the town lights. Behind them, the house was silent again. But the candle in the second-floor window still flickered, and the faint sound of bells carried through the night. Years later, the teenagers never spoke of that night again. But some say the house still waits. Every Christmas Eve, the bell rings, and the candle flickers. And if anyone enters, the hooded figures return, shadows stretching, waiting for new visitors to join the countless others trapped in the silent night visitor's grip. The house in Ashwood is no longer just an abandoned building. It is a warning: curiosity can be deadly. Whispers call your name, shadows follow your steps, and on Christmas Eve, some visitors never leave. Years had passed since the first visitors vanished in Ashwood's lonely house. The stories of Emily, James, and the three teenagers had become local legends. People whispered about the silent night visitor, the red scarf, the candle in the window, and the eerie bell that rang every Christmas Eve. Most avoided the house. But some curiosity never dies. This Christmas Eve, a young journalist named Clara came to Ashwood. She was determined to uncover the truth behind the haunted house. She didn't believe in ghosts, but she had seen the stories online, videos, articles, rumors, all pointing to the same house. She wanted proof. Clara approached the house as snow fell softly around her. The lights of the town were far behind, and only the candle in the second-floor window marked the house's presence. Her camera in hand, she pushed the creaking gate and walked up to the front door. Every step made her stomach twist, but she forced herself forward. Inside, the air was colder than the winter night. The smell of damp wood and decay filled her lungs. Clara's flashlight cut through the darkness, illuminating dust-covered furniture, broken ornaments, and a trail of footprints, some fresh, some old. She climbed the stairs slowly. At the top, the hallway stretched endlessly, though the house had always seemed normal. Whispers echoed faintly, soft and cruel, calling her name. "Clara, join us." She paused, heart pounding. The stories had warned her, but she was determined. She continued. At the end of the hallway, a large room appeared. Hundreds of photographs lined the walls, faces pale, eyes wide, scarves of red on the floor. Some images moved as if alive, moments frozen in terror. Clara's breath caught. She recognized Emily, James, and the three teenagers among the pictures. And then she saw the hooded figure. Pale, thin, its face hidden in shadow, standing silently near the candlelit window. Its presence was cold, oppressive, and terrifying. Clara raised her camera to record, but the figure moved suddenly, closer, faster than humanly possible. The candle flickered violently. Shadows from the walls stretched, wrapping around Clara, whispering, pulling, suffocating. She tried to scream, but the air was heavy, her voice gone. Then, a metallic sound, the bell. It rang, echoing through the room, shaking her to the core. The hooded figure spoke, its voice chilling and hollow. "Why have you come? Curiosity is death." Clara dropped to her knees, shaking. She remembered the scarf, the red scarf that had saved others. Slowly, trembling, she reached for it. Her fingers brushed the fabric, and instantly, a flash of light filled the room. The shadows screamed silently and retreated. The bell stopped ringing. The figure vanished. But it wasn't over. The photographs on the walls began to fall, forming a circle around her. Faces turned to hers, eyes pleading, mouths moving silently. "Stay, stay, stay." Clara realized then that the house fed on curiosity. It trapped anyone who dared enter, keeping them forever in the photographs, shadows, and whispers. The scarf had power, the only way to survive was to escape without succumbing to fear. With all her strength, she ran toward the staircase. The hallway stretched, but she focused only on the exit. The whispers tried to pull her back, hands brushing her shoulders, shadows wrapping around her legs. She stumbled, nearly falling, but clutched the scarf tightly. The moment she passed the front door, the world snapped back to normal. Outside, the snow was silent, peaceful. The town lights glimmered in the distance. Clara collapsed to her knees, breathing hard, the scarf still in her hand. The house behind her seemed quiet. Too quiet. The candle in the second-floor window flickered one last time, then went out. Clara left Ashwood that night. She never returned. The story she wrote became an internet sensation, videos, articles, and warnings about the haunted house. Some dismissed it as fiction. Others, who had seen the candle flicker, the scarf, or the shadows, knew the truth. The house still stands, waiting for the next curious soul. Every Christmas Eve, the candle lights, the bell rings, and the silent night visitor whispers. Emily, James, and the 3 teenagers, their spirits are still trapped inside, part of the house forever. The scarf, now faded and old, sometimes appears on the doorstep. A warning. A lifeline. For those who dare. And the lesson remains clear. Curiosity can be deadly. Some visitors never leave.